Kyle Egelhoff has been involved in Casey Television for several years now, and he keeps coming to us with these stories that come from his life that are about just terrible things happening. And he's like, I'm just sorry that happens to you all the time, Kyle. But, you know, his misfortune is our gain, because he comes up with these things. But this isn't a terrible story. This is the story about the best day at Kroger. This is Kyle Egelhoff.
At age 17, I worked at Kroger, and I hate Kroger. Kroger is just terrible. Either way, it was 9:15, and I had already locked up half the doors, and the pharmacy had already closed when we heard kind of a ruckus coming from pharmacy. We look over and we see this stringy, long-haired man. He's got blondish, brownish, dirtyish hair just dripping off of him. It's a little bit gross. I'm almost positive his shirt hadn't been washed in a couple days, and he just stood there with his head on the glass of the pharmacy knocking like this. I need my medication! You can't do this to me! This is illegal! We were worried a little bit. So we remember one of the many rules of Kroger, but the most important rule of Kroger is always send Chad. Chad was the kind of person who liked Kroger in a way that I never could. Chad knew all the rules. He knew where all the go-backs went. Chad cared about things. So we sent Chad, and Chad calmly explained to the man that the pharmacy had closed about 15 minutes ago, and he had just missed it, so he'll have to come back tomorrow morning. The man stares at Chad with a look of hatred in his eyes, and he said, "Where can I find cough syrup?" And Chad points him a couple aisles down where the cough syrup is sitting, and he watches as the man puts 10 bottles of cough syrup into a little hand basket. And he walks over to my aisle, staring at me with that same look of hatred, and slams it down. And so I scan all the barcodes, 10 different cough syrups. It is, at this point, an hour and 40 minutes to go. I am just waiting to get out. And now I look at him and I say, "Your total is $157.26? And he says, $157? I can't pay this. This is unfair. I need this cough syrup. Now, at this point, I remember one of the other very, very, very important rules of Kroger is that no one ever needs that much cough syrup. If you're unaware, cough syrup can possibly, most likely will be abused by anyone buying 10 bottles at a time, just in case you were confused. And he yells at me, and at this point I am absolutely terrified, so I started hitting and holding the silent alarm button to let someone know that I was in drastic need of help, and I was a total coward. This man is refusing to pay, and I don't know what to do because I've never been trained in this situation. Most of the time, we're just told, don't be heroes. So he looks at me, and he looks at the bags, and he looks at me, and I see him get an idea. It's forming in the back of his drug-addled mind. And he runs, and he grabs the bag, and he runs towards one of the doors that I had already locked, and he hits it. But like a weeble, he wobbled, but he didn't fall down. He ran far back. He went back down aisle 2 and ran past aisle 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And that is when my night manager appeared out of the back room. My night manager was a man who obviously was in football back in his high school days, but it didn't want to go any farther than that. This was the day he was waiting for. To stop an actual crime. So he sprints down aisle 3 and goes down aisle 4 and aisle 5 and aisle 6. And at this point, the two of them are neck and neck. They are running straight for our Thanksgiving turkey display. My night manager starts to run faster and faster. This is the stretch. He sprints and jumps and leaps and tackles the man straight into the Thanksgiving turkey display. Turkeys flew from the display into the air. And what came out was a man covered in blood. Mostly human, but a little bit of turkey. He slowly shuffles off towards the flashing blue and red lights, and I look on from my register, and that is the coolest thing that has ever happened at Kroger. And then I realize something else that's wonderful about today. I'm not trained to clean up biohazardous waste. I asked my night manager, "Hey, can I get out of here?" And he's like, yeah, you can. And I got to go home an hour and a half early. It was really the best day at Kroger.